All right, you're listening or watching the Sports Roundup show with Mike Nelson and Cody Parks. We're talking about the best in sports from around, from the whole week. A weekly show every Friday afternoon. You can watch this on Facebook and on YouTube. And also, if you want to catch more of us, you can head over to our Instagram Live, to my Instagram page. So let's start
Follow
off
us
with
on
the
the
NBA.
gram.
Wait, what? I didn't hear you. What was it?
No, I said, yeah, just follow us on the gram, Mike. That's all.
Yeah.
Just give us a like, a comment, just follow us.
Yeah, we're building up the Sports Roundup Instagram page, so we got about 30 people on there now. So we want to get that up to at least 100 before we start doing live streams on that page. So let's just start off with the NBA. Let's start off with the Lakers, who clinched the number one seed. So that's a big deal.
Big deal, Mike. First time in at least a decade, clinch number one seed. Kuzma put up. It's funny. I don't know if you saw, but Kuzma put up a, an Instagram post, or it was on Twitter. But he said it feels so good if you're a real Laker fan, because he knows that how these last 8, 9 years been for us. A lot of losing seasons. 1 year we just got knocked out of the playoffs in the first round. So it felt good. Like I didn't think it was gonna feel good, Mike, when I saw it all get locked up first seed. I'm like, it's just normal. But then once I heard the announcer say it, I'm like, it do feel good. We've been through a lot, Mike.
Yeah, it's been the last, what is it, 8 years since the Lakers made the playoffs, and they finally made it this year. Of course, in very different circumstances, unfortunately. Obviously, it's not going to be a normal playoffs this year, but still,
That
it's important.
that's why I was wondering, Mike. That's why I was wondering. I'm like, I wonder how I was gonna feel. But then, like, because with everything going on, but it still felt cool.
Yeah, so the Lakers are number one seed, and they'll be, of course, awaiting the number eight seed. Let's switch over to that. It's of course a big battle right now for the number eight seed. The Today the Grizzlies got their first win in the NBA bubble. It's hard to believe they've gone 1-4, and they are now only just one game ahead of the Trailblazers.
Dude, Mike, the first win, they had the AC locked up before everything started. John Morant was kind of mad. Okay, he's saying it was unfair, this and that. And I guess this is why he was saying it was unfair, because a lot of teams are on their heels now. You got Portland, as you just said, the Grizzlies are one game ahead, and Portland is that one team who's right behind them, and also the Phoenix Suns. I don't know if you got a chance to catch them, Mike. They're 3-0 so far. Um, the Phoenix Suns, Devin Booker hit that game-winning shot the
Yeah, I
other
guess the
night
Clippers.
versus, I guess, the Clippers with Paul George and Kawhi all on them. So the Memphis Grizzlies gonna have a tough test. This last, if I'm correct, I think it's 4 games left.
What do you make of the Phoenix Suns? Why do you think they're playing good? Do you think it's just Devin Booker? Or what do you think is why do you think they're playing so well?
It's just Devin Booker, Mike. That's all I say. Devin Booker. I've been a Devin Booker fan ever since he came into the league. I don't know if you remember that one night he scored 72 points. It was in a losing effort, so that's why he didn't get too much publicity. But that's the third highest point total ever. Behind Wilt and Kobe. So if you up there, and you know how I feel about Kobe. If you up there only 9 points, because Kobe had the 81 game with Devin Booker scoring 72, you only 9 points behind Kobe. That's a lot of points. So I feel he's a scoring machine. He's gotten a little bit better on defense. I remember this past off season, he was saying that's what he wanted to work on. But now he just needs talent around him. They tried to finally get a point guard because they were trying to pick up people. If I'm correct, I think you do like Ricky Rubio, Mike.
Yeah,
If
he's
you
he's a
said
really good
yeah,
player, Ricky Rubio, of course. He used to play, of course, on Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken, and then of
so,
course got traded to Phoenix. Great player, but I'm just a little surprised with Phoenix because I remember seeing them early on in the season, and they were essentially a lottery team. And of course, we got to remember that Phoenix wouldn't be in contention if it weren't for the bubble because I think, in
facts.
my opinion, they were clearly out of the playoffs.
They were 13th. If I'm so
13.
there's 15 seeds in the West, and they were 13th. So nowhere near the playoffs.
Yeah, nowhere near. Now, of course, with the play-in, um, you have the opportunity to get to the 9th seed and play the 8th team. And also with Memphis falling apart also, I mean, even if there was no play-in, Memphis is totally giving away their lead.
Did you see Jaren Jackson got injured?
Yeah, out for the
Uh,
season.
out
That's
for
a
the
big
season.
loss for the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't think the Memphis Grizzlies are going to win the play-in. I'm not even sure if they'll even get to the play-in at this point. I know they got to win today, and they're still a game ahead of the Trailblazers. But I just think, how do the Memphis Grizzlies? They're 1-4. I want to pull up their schedule to see who they're playing
They
next.
they play
But
they play the Raptors. Raptors on Sunday.
and then the
If the Raptors
Celtics
can
and
get
Bucks. So very difficult schedule for the Grizzlies.
it's only
I
three
would be
games left, Mike.
just 3 games left for the
Oh,
Grizzlies.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, 3 games because they're playing Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. So 3 games left. And I just wonder, are they going to be able to get a win in any of those 3 games?
What you think?
I'm
What you
going to
think?
say they go 1-2. I think they get a
2-2.
win against the Bucks on that last game. I don't think Giannis will be playing, but I don't know about the other 2 games. I think the Raptors are they're obviously, they just beat the Lakers last week. I think they're playing very well. And then the Celtics, as we know, they're a very difficult team. I just don't think they match up well with the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies defense hasn't really been there in the bubble. So I'm going to say they go 1-2, and I don't know if that's enough to be the 8th or 9th seed.
And I think I'm gonna agree with you because the Bucks have the first seed locked up now. So they're gonna start benching Giannis at like you were mentioning, kind of like the Lakers did. And when you bench your star players, most of the time, well, the Bucks do have some good role players. So it depends if they play Chris Middleton and other players. But I think that'll be their win. And then the Raptors, they can bench their whole starting lineup. The Raptors bench it's almost like a starting lineup. They have so many good role players, and then as you mentioned, Boston, they probably still trying to fight for playoff positioning. So I'm agree with you. And so if they go 1-2, and then either the Blazers win out or the Phoenix might be bad for them.
Yeah, the Blazers are playing the Clippers tomorrow, who are, of course, also pretty much locked up in the 2nd seed. So you might see some players sitting out. And then they're playing the 76ers, the Mavericks, and the Nets. So a much easier schedule for the Trailblazers, in my opinion, because we know the Mavericks aren't playing for anything. The Nets, I think, are pretty much out. Then that last game is against the last game is against the Nets. The 76ers, with that Ben Simmons injury, I think that really helps Portland because that backcourt's going to be able to take advantage, I think, for the Blazers, who we know are one of the best in the NBA.
And then, if I'm correct, Ben Simmons, it was a dislocated kneecap. So I know they said
Yeah,
out indefinitely, but
he's
more than
definitely out for the
likely,
regular season. Yeah,
dislocated kneecap.
I mean, he's
That's
out.
a
I think he's definitely out for the rest of the regular season. There's no
yeah,
way he's playing in these last 3 or 4
that's
meaningless games
no.
for the 76ers. Even if he were to somehow get better, they're going to try to rest him up for the playoffs. And I don't know. I think the Blazers are definitely going to be in the play-in. And then the other team that I think is
It's Phoenix.
Phoenix. Phoenix, the
So
way they've been playing, we might see the Blazers or Phoenix or both of them. I mean, in that
yeah,
play-in
playing.
round, that would be big.
Because I know the next two games Phoenix has is the Heat and the Thunder. So if somehow they can squeak by those two. I don't know if you have the rest of their schedule up, but
For the Phoenix Suns, they'll be taking on the Miami Heat tomorrow, and then they'll be taking on the Thunder, 76ers, and Mavericks. So they actually have 4 games
oh,
left. So they have more of an opportunity than the Grizzlies there. 4 games.
so who you got, Mike? So well,
I mean, I'm not going to count out the
we'll talk
Spurs.
about that playing. Yeah,
I'm
that's
going to
true.
say
That's
Spurs
true.
and Blazers. I don't know. I think the
Mavericks.
Suns. I think they're playing good, but I think their defense is a little iffy, in my opinion. Um, I know
Oh, and then
Devin Booker's carrying the team, but I'm going to say Spurs and Blazers, and then I'm going to say the Blazers get the 8th seed.
so that's my apologies. I forgot the Spurs won. So then that's why they're a half game ahead of the Suns right now. So right now you're right. It's a Blazers and Spurs, and never count out Greg Popovich. They have what I think a streak of over 18 years straight or something.
I think it's
20.
20-some years or something like that
Yeah.
with the playoffs. Yeah, it's an
I think the
NBA
first
record.
year. Yeah, I think the first year when Tim Duncan came. Ever since then, when
They made the
Tim
playoffs.
Duncan got drafted, they made the playoffs every year. So Never can I hope, Greg Popovich.
Yeah, so I'm going to say them, and imagine Blazers and Lakers in the first round. What a difficult matchup, in my opinion, because the Blazers are the hottest team in the NBA. I mean, I know they lost one game against the Celtics. Again, they could have won easily. I got a chance to see that game last week. They played great. It was like a last minute back and forth, pretty much between Jason Tatum and Damian Lillard that won the game for the Celtics. But imagine the Blazers and the Lakers in the first round. That's gonna be a crazy series. Think about it. Two teams that it's gonna be a
And
crazy matchup.
remember, we talked about this kind of last week because it went back to that game back on January 31st, if I'm correct. That was the exact day. The first game coming back from when Kobe passed away. That was the first game back with Lakers and Blazers. And Damian Lillard scored 50 points. Went crazy. They got CJ McCollum. Nurkic is back. Carmelo is that they call him Skinny Mello now, kind of looking like me, looking skinny like me. He playing a small forward position, so that's gonna be. I rather not play them. I'd rather not play the Blazers. I'd rather play the Spurs or the Suns, of course. I
Oh, that
don't
would
want to
be
play. It's gonna
easy.
be so.
Think about it. The Spurs or the Suns against the Lakers. That would be, I think, a very accessible series for the Lakers, who I think would take advantage of that matchup. But I think the Blazers is gonna be difficult. I think it's gonna be a long series.
How many games you
I'm gonna
saying?
say 6 or 7 games without any home court. I'm gonna say 6 or 7 games.
That's that's a
Uh,
big key, Mike. Without any home court, that's a big
yeah.
key. That's
I
why.
mean, if it was home court, it'd be another story. I think. See, the thing is, so I think this playoff run for any team is going to be much difficult this year because the Blazers could go all the way. Anybody can win this year. I mean,
Anybody,
it's they're pretty
anybody.
much playing in a neutral site, so it's like there's no advantage, right?
And then I want everybody to listen to what Mike said. No advantage because these role players, like let's bring up we talk about the Blazers, Gary Trent Jr., Nurkic, Whiteside, um, other players off the bench. We can bring up what other teams in Orlando, Terrence Ross for the Magic, just these role players who are big at home, but kind of on the road, kind of don't play that good because they need the crowd to hype them up. Now, since it's neutral, no crowd, they have no fear. They can just shoot, do. They're gonna hype their own self up because their teammates are hyping them up, and it's gonna be very interesting because, like you said, no team has an advantage.
I mean, I see this playoff tournament almost like a March Madness type thing. I know it's not just one
Yes.
game, but it's very similar in the sense that it's pretty much anybody can win, right? March Madness, you have 64 teams that get together, they play in a neutral site, and there's always upsets in the first round. Um,
Always.
always, I mean, you always have
That's
somebody
the best things
losing.
about March Madness. It's
It's,
one of the
yeah,
best.
because it's anybody can win. The whole point is just to get in, and pretty much anybody can win. So that's kind of how I see it this year in the NBA. That's why I don't think the idea of having I know the course right now they're doing this for the pandemic, but this is for me a one-time thing because in an 82 game
Facts.
season, I mean you can't
Facts.
it wouldn't be fair, right? Think about it.
For real, I'm right with you, Mike. Let's not just talk about fair, but you talk about for us, it will be boring. The owners would lose so much money. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, and it just wouldn't be right for competition. I mean, like having the 12th seed or 11th seed winning the NBA championship, I just don't think it wouldn't be fair in my opinion. Like
No,
expanding the
like the
playoffs or
Hornets.
yeah.
Come on, come on. I mean, I love Charlotte. Don't get me wrong. Anybody watching from Charlotte, but come on.
I've never been to Charlotte, so I don't know how it is over there. Yeah.
It's
But
nice. It's nice, Mike.
okay. But yeah, so that's gonna wrap it up for our NBA segment. We'll talk more about the NBA over on our Instagram live. So if you are watching this video on Facebook or YouTube, just head over to the Instagram. You can hear us talk more about this. So thanks for everybody for listening, and make sure to subscribe to our channel.